You're listening to the NewGen podcast exclusively on the Pod Station. Here is an interview with one of our members from the Einstein Hub.
Doing, Helen. Okay, so
Hello.
let's start a couple of questions. Now, chat with Helen, find out a bit more about Luva marketing. So, to get us underway, could you just a little bit of your sort of background and your experience, your knowledge, and what brings you to where you are today?
Yeah, very quickly. My first background is actually linguistics. I spent 7 years in a publishing company doing what we call foreign rights contracts, speaking French and German, traveling all around Europe, and absolutely loved it. Then came back up north to where I'm from anyway, originally, to the Wirral, and started working for a very well-known company that you'll all know called Yellow Pages. And I was a sales manager there. I worked there for 18 years. And it was when digital was just taking off. And I became a trainer and coach for Google. I won lots of awards, which is why I was there so long. It was fantastic. Worked with Google in their offices in London, learning what to teach our guys and writing training programs for all the new starters coming through into the company. So that's where my digital background and experience comes from. Got fed up with decisions being made outside my control, losing the quality and not having flexibility to offer what the clients wanted. And at that point, it was things like Facebook, so SEO. So I took it upon myself to learn it all. Had a couple of clients that were happy to trust in me, had amazing results, and then I left because I knew I could do it. And that's it. Yeah. And I'm in my 5th year now with Luva Marketing and absolutely love it. Yeah.
What are the biggest changes, you'd say, in sort of the digital marketing since you started? Because there's so much going on all the time, isn't
it? Massive. 2 that really stick in my mind. One is the change in technology that's forcing it. And the other is how sophisticated the data is actually coming, which influences how SEO works, and it influences how the advertising side of it works. So on the technology side, I always remember I was a rep in a meeting and our director explaining how one day our lives would be revolutionized by the phone, and we'd never heard of a smartphone. And he was trying to explain to us how this phone, we'd be paying for everything, it would become our camera, we'd be listening to music. And I just remember sitting there absolutely jaw dropped thinking, this is fantastic. If this is the way that it's going and he's not talking pie in the sky, it's going to be really exciting for us. So technology, massive for us, dictated so many changes. Mobile sites, for example, was just one of them. But the actual sophistication of how people are using the data is massively widening the net for small companies to now have opportunities out there. So in the old days, it really was the more money you had, the louder you shouted, you won the majority of that business. And there used to be a lot of spammy advertising. Now the consumer is in charge basically of their journey. You know, they do all the research, they check out your business before they make a decision, they check out the reviews on your company. So provided a small business is there at each stage of that buying journey, they are in with a chance of winning that business. And that's what's fantastic to see is the SMBs now are in there with the big boys. And for what was I going to say, for Google, the change is huge. So when we first did sites, Google, it was all about keyword stuffing. I don't know whether you've heard of that terminology, but Google literally could just recognize keywords. That was it. So what we used to do was literally stuff a site with keywords. And I remember seeing a solicitor once and I was trying to explain to him, look, Google's changing, you're going to get penalized. you need to stop stuffing your site with keywords. And he said, we're not. And what had happened was, and this is what they used to do, the developers, white text, all the keywords in white text. So if you can imagine, I don't know, personal injury 100 times on the white background of his site. So he couldn't see it was there. None of his clients could see it was there, but Google obviously could see it was there. It was in the background because Google can't see pretty pictures. It just reads the codes. And I always remember that meeting, and he was just like, oh my God. So yeah, we don't do keyword stuffing now. It's all about syntax, and Google's really, really sophisticated. So consequently, your marketing's become a lot more sophisticated. So huge changes. It makes my job really exciting because it's constantly changing.
Yeah, keep it on top of it as well, I'm sure. But what would you say is the best social media channel then?
It really depends on a few things, to be honest. First of all, I can't say it's that one or it's that one because they're all so different. Plus, how you approach it is really different. So you have to, first of all, segment your audience. So if I take Richie's business, for example, part of his service is, let's say, window cleaning. So he wants the end consumer.
Yeah.
Part of his service is commercial. So he wants the business to business side. So once you've got your personas identified and you've prioritized which services, which products make me the highest margins, which ones do I want to promote above all the others, where's it worth investing my time and money, then you need to align it to your goals. So you might think, well, is it clients that I want now, or am I building a future for my business? And if I want to build a business for my future my business, I need to go where my future customer base is. And that's why you've got the likes of Mercedes-Benz on TikTok. You've got huge technological companies investing in young influencers now for TikTok, where, you know, even a year ago, that was unheard of. You just wouldn't have thought that would you know, you thought, oh, LinkedIn, maybe a bit of Instagram, but there's so many new emerging platforms all the time. You've got to decide and analyze, where's your client base now and who are you targeting for the future? So it's about, getting right message at each stage of their buying process.
Right. Okay. So here's a question that's probably going to make everyone else in the room laugh. Could I do my own SEO?
Yeah.
Even me. You obviously don't know me.
Know what, John? So it's a bit like Mark was saying earlier about people learning to do the sites and then basically busting it and breaking it to a point where it's beyond recognition. That's what you get. Okay, so yes, you can go and learn the basics of SEO, but to do it really, really well, you have to actually invest in quite a lot of expensive software, and there will come a point where you become stuck. And it takes years and years, not just to learn the theory, but to actually put it into practice and understand that works in that scenario, that doesn't work in that. You can't learn those things overnight. If you did a course and became certified, it doesn't mean to say you're an SEO practitioner or an SEO expert. You really have to know your stuff and have done it a number of years. So clients do try and do it themselves, but they get to a standpoint where they can't go any further, basically.
I think I'll take Dave Forrest's tip. It's just on the chat box. I won't be doing it myself. So just last minute or so, really. What are your top tips? I know you like sharing tips with people.
I do. So some of the really basic ones where causes actually the biggest headaches are what I call ownership. So things like, do you own your domain name? That's like the holy grail. You need to make sure that you own the domain name of your website. You need to make sure that you know where's your site hosted and have access to it. You need to be the owner of your Google Places listing, and all these things can really, really hinder a client making progress. I had a customer once whose cousin did their site, emigrated to New Zealand, and it was an absolute nightmare because of that time difference. They had to try and speak to them direct. They didn't understand what they were asking. So it doesn't matter if your best mate did your site or your SEO, or, you know, a relative of the family. Make sure you've got control, especially with people like me, if you're working with a digital company, don't give them the keys. That you should have access to it. And I say this to every single client. Here's your password. Here's your login details. You need that. The other top tip I would say is there's a big algorithm change coming out in a few weeks, which is all about the quality of your site. I know Mark does the sites. I'm sure he'll talk about it in a few weeks, but it's to do with speed. So you need to, obviously I do SEO, but speed is a massive factor now. So make sure your site's performing with the speed. That's it.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks for that and for your tip as well. Brilliant, thank you. I don't think we've got too much time left really, but whether has anyone a quick question, or are we? And I know you're happy to have a chat with people.
Yes, they can contact.
Well, I would say is just encourage people to have a one-to-one with Helen and get together.
Yeah,
and she's always this excitable as well, by the way. So there you go.
I love it.
All right, thanks very much. Thank you.
I would just like to re-emphasize everything that Helen said there. It's so important that you get that there's things you can do as a customer for yourself to help with your SEO, but people like Helen will give you like a tick list of things to go away and do yourself to help, but all the other bits you just leave well alone, because I just don't understand why anyone would try and do it. This is like operating on a broken leg yourself instead of going to the doctor. But it does work, by the way. If you're looking for new customers, things like SEO does work. So get on it if you haven't already.
We get inundated with phone calls from the Google AdWords because we always ask people where they see us. And we get loads of inquiries coming through the Google AdWords.
And who does your SEO, Rich?
Miss Collins.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rich.
If you would like to visit one of our online or face-to-face hubs, visit newgen-networking.com and book a place.